This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Inglewood, Colorado. I'm here at Front Range Volleyball Club. Since 1981, this nationally prominent competitive program has been building champions for youth here along the Front Range. I'm here with Jim and Kathleen. Thanks so much for joining us here. Let's start off a little bit about yourself, Jim. You've really dedicated 30 plus years to this organization, to this sport. You've seen youth come in, you've seen them hit the wall out there, become scholarship athletes, national, international. You've even been able to advise them in an Olympic capacity. Tell me a little bit of how this got started for you.
For me, I got involved as an assistant coach at first in the mid 80s, and I was also coaching collegiately at the time at Regis University and then later at CU Boulder. Eventually this turned into a full-time position for me, and just feel like, you know, we're all part of the same group and that we want to see the best thing for our youth. And athletics is such a great activity. You know, it challenges them physically, challenges them mentally. You know, it's fun, it's exciting. It's kind of like life, right? In that you've got all the ups and downs that go on in life, but the game's over, you know, and you get to come back and you get to try again. So our whole philosophy is that we want to see youth enjoy themselves. We want to see our youth athletes be challenged. We want to see them hit struggles and fight through struggles, you know, and set goals and continually work to achieve those goals. And when those goals are achieved, we move on to the next goal. So for me, once I became full-time here, I had the opportunity to work internationally, and I was an advisor for the women's Olympic team during the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. I was the head coach for the youth national team from '98 through 2002, and you know, and so that has kind of tailored our approach as well. We believe that the international game is the game being played at the highest level. So we look at those teams and those players and we ask ourselves, why do they pass this way? Why do they hit that way? And we've taken a lot of that data and we've taken it to people who know more than me. You know, we've taken it to people who've got degrees in biomechanics and exercise science, and you know, we have them analyze the top players in the world and what they're doing and teach us why it's important that the body move that way versus another way. So what we try and do is set those motor programs for our kids at the youngest age possible so that they can grow and not just become their very best, but also protect them from overuse injuries and mechanical injuries that could hinder them in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, you've dedicated many years to this. Kathleen, quite honestly, you are a product of the system. Basically, you have gone through this. Share with me, I mean, you're now doing head coaching. You started with the organization here in 2012. A few years before that, you've coached elsewhere. At what age did you get started with the passion of volleyball?
Yeah, so I started as an 8-year-old and I played in rec leagues, and then I started playing at Front Range when I was 12 years old. My sister played here a year before that, started here at 14 years old, and we just really loved the game, and we basically found out about the club and came in and tried out and had no idea what we were doing, but we were lucky enough to make a team, and that just sparked our passion to play throughout our lives. So we decided we wanted to play in college, and we knew that we could get there through the training here at Front Range. So we were lucky enough that we received that training here, and then we were able to go on and accomplish our goals collegiately.
Two great stories, totally different. Let's look at volleyball, the sport. We're talking about a sport that was originated back in 1895, turn of the century, really close to when basketball was. It was invented here in the United States. It has gone on to become nationally, worldwide, something that's very popular. Why do you think that is?
To me, it's simple. The game is fast and it's athletic. So it attracts great athletes. The speed of it and the athleticism of it are just very, they're very attractive. They're very exciting to watch. And when you really see volleyball played at the highest level, it really is beautiful because it's power, it's precision, it's aggressive, and it's everything that you want in a sport, and it's fast.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's almost addictive.
Yep.
You get started with it, you want to do more of it. One of the reasons it's so popular, obviously, is it's competitive. It has been an Olympic sport since 1964, and basically every year, something that keeps building. Obviously, it's more than just fun. This is about doing some serious practice, honing your skills. Is this really what the club is all about?
We like to think that we're a great marriage of a lot of different things because, yeah, it does take a lot of hard work to become your very best. At the same time, you want to be able to enjoy the work. So one of the things that we're about is helping kids learn how to set these very kind of short-term goals. I'm going to get better at dropping my hips on passing, right? And work on that for a couple weeks. Once they feel like they've gotten that goal pretty much under control, then we immediately move on to another goal. We work on that. So we have these very specific ideas that we're working on for a block of time, individually and collectively, so that there's always something that the kids are working on, they're mastering, then they're moving on. Because it's important to keep the motivation level high. You know what I mean? So you've got to be able to see the progress that you're making. You know, we're the most successful club in the Rocky Mountain region nationally, partly because we attract great athletes, but also partly because of the approach. You know, we really pay attention to the science that's being developed around youth athletics. You know, in the old days, youth were treated like smaller adults in their training and in their competition. And we know that that's not the best way to treat youth. We know that the 12 and unders need some slightly different things than the 14s do, than the 15s and 16s do, than the 17s and 18s do. And so as we have learned that, we have continued to tailor our approach to be the best approach for middle school kids and then advance it as they get a little bit older and then advance it as they get ready to go on to college.
I mean, so it's one thing that you're basically able to tell our youth to set high achievement goals, but yet it's another thing to provide for them the tools so that they can succeed and do that. In 30 plus years, you've seen some changes in training. One of the things is even being able to utilize technology, state of the art. Is that something that you've seen changed?
Without a doubt, and we think it's a critical factor in helping kids improve faster, right? Because they're all used to being on their phone, they're all used to seeing videos, taking selfies, posting their own videos, right? So what we outfit all of our coaches with is an iPad with a program that we can capture video in real time, pull the kids out, let them see what exactly they're doing if we're working on something specific right now. We also have cameras behind each court that are pulling and gathering each practice session, and that's available to our coaches for 14 days. They can go back into that practice session, pull out something that they want to see, show it to their team. So we look at video two different ways, individually, in real time, and then collecting the big data and then showing it to them if we're trying to develop some kind of team concept.
That is amazing. So video analysis is definitely something that is utilized here. Obviously, the state-of-the-art, cutting-edge training is not possible, though, without people, without a staff, without coaches, top around. Is this something that attracted you back when you were first getting involved?
Definitely. Our coaching staff here has collegiate experience, has international experience, and that's not something every club can say. This club has been around for so long as well, so they've been in those big matches, they've been in the championship matches, and they know what to expect so they can prepare the players efficiently.
That helps to actually deal with somebody who been there, done that, especially when you're talking about that type of kind of a stressful level of competition. If you're not sure what you're going to go into, that's kind of neat. One of the club has a history of excellence. Quite honestly, you're learning not only volleyball skills, but you're really learning skills about life. You're learning professionalism. You're learning about working with a team. Is that important for you to see these youth walk out the doors with something that really they're gonna keep them with them off the court?
You know, one of the best things that is always great for me, having been here so long, is when our alumni come back to me and they say, oh my gosh, I learned how to work hard at Front Range. I learned how to be a good teammate at Front Range. I learned how to do all these life things, right, that are now affecting them in their professions. You know, so yes, all those things are things that we believe you can foster through athletics, you know, the proper approach to athletics. Obviously, winning's the object of the game, but we don't believe in winning at all costs. You know, we want to train our athletes well, according to the science that we currently have about training. We want to push kids to be the very best they can be, and then if the result is we're successful in matches, then it's more a byproduct of our approach than it is the focus of our approach.
Fantastic. I mean, Kathleen, you began this before you were double digits in age, which is pretty amazing, pretty young. At what age does the program start accepting tryouts for, let's say, the junior program?
Yeah, so for club, we have teams start at 11 years old, and then we go all the way to 18-year-olds, but then we also have camps for kids that are younger or less experienced.
What was said before is the fact that you yourself have played here, you've coached here, you've left and coached elsewhere. What do you think really sets this club apart now that you've seen kind of a full gamut?
Yeah, so from the coaching perspective, I've really been impressed with how collaborative an environment it is. I can always go into other coaches that have more experience and ask them questions and have discussion or look at video with them and talk about what we can do to make it more biomechanically efficient. So those discussions are really innovative and invigorating and make me excited to come in and learn every single day. I've been involved in competitive volleyball for 16 years and I'm still learning as a coach. So I find that really interesting, but also it just helps me be creative as a coach and helps me help the players become creative in their play.
So not only the younger coaches learning from the veterans learn from the younger coaches, it's ongoing education, I imagine, for you as well. Once somebody's accepted to the club, how often are the practices? And do the practices all take place here?
All the practices take place here. For our high school teams, they practice 3 days a week with an additional optional fourth training session on Monday nights. For our middle school teams, they practice 2 nights a week, and they also have an optional additional third session on Monday night, which is mostly a skill session night, so that if a kid's struggling with passing, they want to get extra passing work, they come in on Monday. Same thing with serving, setting, hitting, whatever. You know, it's just not getting enough. I want to get some more. Then Monday nights are an option for them. The team that trains 4 nights a week is our senior team, our seniors in high school, because those are the kids who are getting ready to go and play in college, where they're going to be training 20 hours a week during the season. So we feel it's important to get them that extra day so that they're best prepared as they go to college.
How long are the seasons throughout the year, or do the season kind of differ based on the age group?
All of our teams start at the same time, middle of November. And then our 2 youngest teams will train and compete through the end of April. And then, so our 12 and our 13 and 11-year-old teams end at the end of April. The rest of our teams, 14 on up through 18s, continue through the Junior National Championships, which take place in late June or early July.
So obviously practice takes place here, but they're practicing to compete. How often do they actually get to compete in a typical season?
A typical season, there are 6 regional tournaments that happen on Sundays. That season starts in January and it ends in April. And then there are the 3-day event season, or the qualifier season, starts in early March and it ends the end of April also. And depending on the team, they will play in 2 or 3 of those 3-day qualifying events.
Excellent. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. First of all, on the website, take a look at the mission of this organization that has been around since the 80s. Really one of the best organizations when it comes to volleyball. You can take a look at their calendar, check out when tryouts are, also obviously competitions that take place, and basically see the staff. This is really an award-winning staff that is putting together youth of tomorrow. Let me ask you, one of the things as I look at let's say we have youth that aren't ready for the club yet. You had mentioned about camps and training like that. You've got something called the Middle School Madness. You've also got a Futures program. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our Futures program is basically 6 to 8 week leagues for players that are newer to volleyball, but they still get 1 day a week practice, and then they still have competitions on Saturdays, so they get a taste of both. And then our Middle School Madness is basically a camp that's every single Wednesday, so you can come in and you learn some skill, but you also get to compete in those 2 hours.
Excellent. Jim, this is something for you that basically you have seen students come and go throughout the years. It sounds to me like they kind of become your family. And when you see them come back in and then they turn into a coach, does this continue to be rewarding for you?
It's all rewarding to me, you know, whether people come back like Kathleen and work with us, or whether they invite me to a wedding, or they invite me to, you know, getting an advanced degree, or, you know, whatever it is. It's, I mean, having players bring their daughters back and play for us, you know, who I coached when they were, you know, in high school. The Front Range family is a very important thing for us. It's something that kind of drives us, you know what I mean, to continually work to be better, to know more, and to improve our approach. I think one of the worst things we can do is sit back and say, what I did 5 years ago was fine. It's like that just rubs me the wrong way, you know. It's like we've got to continually be looking to improve ourselves and push ourselves. It's something that we expect as a staff, and it's something that we expect out of our players and teams. So we've got to live it if we want them to be that thing.
You're only as good as your last game, right?
Exactly.
You've got to look at the last one. Kathleen, let me ask you, this is almost like coming full circle for you. Started here, went elsewhere, came back. As you think back when you first came into the program, do you kind of remember how you felt? And let's say there's someone out there, youth, that's thinking about joining the program, not sure if it's a good fit for them. What would you tell them?
I'd say go for it, because you never know, you know, when you're watching players that are more experienced than you, or you're walking into a competitive situation that maybe you've never been in before. If it's something that excites you, then go for it, try it, and see what happens.
Jim, we talk a lot about really life skills that are taught here under one roof. One of those probably would be patience. Basically starting out and not realizing that you're not going to master this sport in a couple weeks.
Exactly right. And in fact, a lot of things people don't know is that volleyball, as most team sports, they're considered late developing sports, meaning that people are not going to reach their full potential until their mid to late 20s. So just because a kid's 12, 13, 14 and isn't really doing great at volleyball isn't necessarily an indicator of success down the road. A lot of times, players that are taller when they're young are a little less coordinated, and volleyball takes a lot of coordination, and it takes more time to develop the kind of skills and coordination for them to be successful in the sport of volleyball. So it's always hard for us when we see a young kid come in, you know, and she just doesn't have the coordination skill yet, and she gets disappointed, and she stops trying volleyball. So patience is such an important element in this whole thing. And, you know, in our society nowadays, kids get stuff immediately, right, on their phone. Don't like this, don't like that, you know, new. And really, I tell all of our parents at our parent meeting each year, understand that this is a long-term process. This is not a right now kind of deal. And if we approach it as a right now kind of deal, we're doing a disservice to the kids, and they're going to get frustrated. So we try and find ways that kids can be successful, even little ways, right? It's like work on your footwork, work on your arms, work on your hands, work on something, right? That they can see these little wins right? And then over time, it gets better, better, better. I can think of half a dozen kids off the top of my head who didn't play much when they were on our 12, 13, 14, or even our 15 and under team, who ended up starting on our 15-1, our 16-1, our 17-1, our 18-1 teams, who went on to be really highly successful players, at the collegiate level. And it's just because they aren't physically ready yet to handle all the rigors of volleyball. So I think it's an important thing for parents to understand, for kids to understand, that volleyball is not a sport you're going to come out and get good at in a weekend or a month or even a year sometimes. It really takes the physical maturation combined with a great approach for skill and tactical development.
So it's really about celebrating the constant and never-ending improvement that you're able to see your child or your student out there doing.
Exactly.
Obviously, this is a program that has been involved in the community for many years. It's very important that you got out into the community. Obviously, kind of your way of giving back. Tell me about the program there.
Well, we have this program that we call our site camp program, and this is where high schools might drop us an email or give us a phone call and say, "Hey, Jim or somebody on your staff, can you come out and help me with my high school program?" And what we do is we talk to the coach and we ask them, what things do you want us to focus on? And then based on the coach's input, we'll go into their program and then build the camp around what their needs are. With the level of my staff here, we think it's kind of a disservice to have a canned camp and then just bring it to people and say, this is what we do. Because you might need more serve receive work, or you might need more blocking work, you might need more attacking work, right? You might need more individual skill work. So what we really work hard to do is model the camp around what that coach's program really needs based on where they are right now. We think it's a very unique approach, and we've had tremendous success with it, and the feedback that we get from it is terrific.
Absolutely. Instead of a cookie-cutter approach, you're taking a very customized approach, and the people that bring you into their programs, I'm sure they really appreciate that.
Oh, the feedback that we've got has been amazing, and I just did a site camp, last summer for actually a former coach of ours who's currently at Roosevelt High School. And we were almost changing the camp daily because as we started to work on day one, I was asking her, what did you like? What did you see? And she was like, oh, can we work on this tomorrow? Because I really saw us touch on this today and I want to work on that more now. And sure, we just kind of developed it as we went along, and kind of as we expose needs, then we address those needs.
Like any good coach, they can adapt to basically the student, which is definitely part of the success. Excellent. Last time, viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. You're going to see their contact information right there. If you're not sure, come out to the facility, check it out. Beautiful facility, state-of-the-art, utilizing all the technology that is now available to this wonderful sport. This is a program that began back in 1981. That is the Front Range Volleyball Club, located right here in Englewood, Colorado. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.